Hello and welcome everyone. Today we cover chapter number 4 and chapter number 5 from the book. Now, chapter number 4 and 5 are kind of a letdown. There isn't exactly much of an historical material in these chapters, but they have more explored the option of how the geography and geology of Bharat has affected her history. All right, so for the sake of ease of understanding, the author, that is RC Majumdar, he has bifurcated the entire land of Bharat into two parts. And the boundary between two is the Vindhya and the Satpura range. Currently, they are in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So that acts as a boundary between the northern part of the subcontinent and the southern part of the subcontinent. Now, this very theory is the seed of balkanization of our country. And for those of you who don't know what balkanization is, all you need to know is it's not good. Okay, dividing your country and breaking it down into parts is what is balkanization, for those of you who don't understand. All right, so the chapter number 4, it begins with again a disappointment, that is RC Majumdar has based this entire book on the Aryan invasion theory. So again, in layman terms, Aryan invasion theory is the theory that says that the inhabitants that live on this land, we call them Hindus for the lack of a word because we don't exactly know. You know, just like India, Hindus is also the word that was given to us by somebody else. All right, but more about that in the successive videos. So yeah, Aryan invasion theory, it was cooked up by the Westerners to make us feel bad about ourselves, because they could not digest the fact that there could be a civilization that was far advanced than them. All right, but more about that in successive videos. In chapter 4, for the ease of understanding, it refers to two parts of Bharat, the northern and the southern. The northern part, he refers to that as the Aryan India, and the southern part, he refers to it as non-Aryan or Dravid India. Now, this is a very incorrect bifurcation, but yeah. So if you see, the northern part of the subcontinent, that is Bharat, is morely flat land, plains. It's not exactly very mountainous and a hilly region, and hence it is very much fruitful for the survival of human beings. And whereas if you compare that with the southern part, that is the Dakshin Path, that is more like a solid rock. The northern part of the subcontinent is more like porous. When I say porous, I mean it's not as rock solid as the southern part. It is more like a porous where you can irrigate very easily, where you can practice agriculture very easily. The groundwater levels are good. All right. One interesting thing that I found out was the plains of that is river Ganga. Now, this is very elementary geography, that whenever a river flows, it brings with it a lot of sediments. So yes, the northern plains that as we know them today were formed by the sediments that were brought down by river Ganga and its tributaries. And the plain of Gujarat is of the same age as the northern plains. All right. Now, one very interesting fact that I learned from chapter 4 was the earliest prehistoric relic of men. That is, there were stone tools that were unearthed from a place in Madhya Pradesh in Narmada Basin in 1872. So it is the earliest prehistoric relic of a man. It was some sort of a stone tool. Okay. So we definitely know that Homo sapiens definitely inhabited this land long before we could ever even imagine. All right. Similarly, there is also some comparison between the river system. The rivers in south, such as Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, all these river basins, the drainage pattern has remained same. So when I say the drainage pattern has remained same, meaning there hasn't been too much of geographical or geological change in that part of the subcontinent. Whereas if you compare that with the northern part of our country, Many of the rivers have changed their course. There are rivers such as Saraswati that do not exist anymore, and so yes, the rivers in South India have remained same since the Gondwana age compared to the northern part of India, where many of the rivers have changed their courses. Many of the rivers no longer exist anymore, and yeah. So hence, yeah, that is also one of the reasons why we have difficulty in excavation in the northern part of the land, because earlier where there were cities, now we have gushing rivers flowing through it. So these are some difficulties in excavation in the northern part of India. One very interesting fact that I discovered in this book was there was an earthquake in Assam in the year of 1897. It was 8.2 or 8.3 moment magnitude. It was disastrous. It was one of the most disastrous, earthquake recorded ever in the world history. And to give you an idea about the intensity of the earthquake, the tremors of the earthquake were felt as far as the land of Karnavati. So, yep. All right. Chapter 5, again, it discusses the same thing, that how has geography affected. Now, chapter 5 raises many questions that we should definitely examine with some critical understanding. All right. Now, first and the foremost thing, I'm sure all of you all know this mountain that we like to call it as Mount Everest. All right. Now, why do we call it as Mount Everest? Just because some Sir Everest from Britain, climbed it for the first time. That was, for them, a white guy climbing a mountain for the first time, and we name a mountain after him. All right, accepted. During the time when he climbed that mountain, there was exactly British supremacy over this part of the subcontinent. But why have we still kept it? What is stopping us from changing the name from Everest to Gauri Shankar? Yes, that is the original name of that mountain, Gauri Shankar. And I don't need to tell you what these two names mean. All right. So yes, you can understand and you can realize what is the degree of mental colonization that we guys are still under. Physically, we might not be in the shackles of the Western people, but mentally, we are still slaves, for the lack of a better word. All right, and the frustrating part of this, frustrating part of the information that I discovered in this book was nobody has made an effort to change it in our books. And it's been like what, 74, 75, 76 years since we have been independent. All right, and we are teaching the same thing to kids who are born. Fine. All right, we move ahead. Now, in the second part, that is the other half of the chapter 5, that is very controversial, that I would like to say is the broad topic it covers is the influence of geography on history. All right. Now, to give you a very brief understanding of what RC Majumdar means when he says influence of geography on history is, there are some of the geographical features in this part of the subcontinent, such as the northern Himalayas, the western Thar Desert. Now, these geographical features acted as barriers or acted as protection from foreign invasions. All right. Now, RC Majumdar has used this logic, and what he means to say is that since the people of this land were gifted with such a nice geography, they felt no compulsion to move out of this geography and conquest the foreign lands. Whereas we obviously know there are evidences available contrary to it. But I don't know why this book has such absurd conjectures. But nevertheless, not speaking ill of the dead, this book was written far back in time, and we cannot blame him for committing such errors. All right. Yes, so that was the absurd claim, and these are the seeds of balkanization. That is why we are constantly made aware of the differences between North and South. This is an absurd argument to make. How somebody from a southerner is somehow different from a person living in the northern part. We are absolutely the same. All right. There was nobody that came from outside, from steppes of whatever country. We are the natural successors and inhabitants of this land. All right. Another absurd claim was made that the maritime activities, like since the island nations or the island countries that are very far away from the peninsular part of our country, we could not, explore it further. So my question to people who say that we have, just because the lands. So imagine this: the peninsular part of our country, and the large Indian Ocean, and the countries of Indonesia, Thailand. Okay. So how did Vedic philosophy spread over there? Did people from here just go over there and request the people over there that, oh, we have a philosophy and you'll have to adapt to it, you'll have to adopt it. And they wholeheartedly, without any, rebellion, adopted it. Now, either the philosophy that we had was far too good for that time that people readily accepted it without any rebellion, or these are just blatant lies. All right. Spread of a faith is never by peace. All right. Yes. So that is another absurd claim. And one last thing that is like the last nail in the coffin of this book is there is this weird logic that is presented that invaders from outside, they came over here. All right. They fell in love with its geography and its congenial environment, and they decided to stay here, and hence they became natural citizens of this land. All right, so this definitely is an intellectual fallacy. More about it in the further chapters of this book. But so far, this book has been a total letdown. It does not stand up to its expectations. But nevertheless, we are going to go through it. I'll see you in the next video.